Okay, hello.
Hello?
It's been a while. So, yeah, we're doing another one of our intermission. I think the official name of it is now.
Yeah.
We've just done listening to. You've just done listening to. I've listened to it a few times a couple of weeks back.
Mm.
The new Muse album.
Yeah.
What did you think?
I thought it was pretty great actually. I really
Yeah,
did.
I really like it. I think it's one of the best albums I've heard in a long time, especially new albums. Anyway, I'm not talking about like old stuff and stuff,
Mm.
but definitely one of the best new albums I've heard. And I heard a lot of people not liking it. Some people don't like the direction it's gone in and stuff like that. I love it personally. I think some of the tracks. One thing I really do like about Muse, if every song feels different in an album. You never get the feeling that it's kind of treading the old ground again and
Mm.
again. Even though there's very much an overarching theme with the album,
Yeah.
you got a very much each individual song could be listened to by itself, and has its own merits. And any particular song you're interested in, you like?
Definitely like track number 3.
Which one
From
was that?
uh
Click on the thing and bring it up. You know, the little icon at the bottom. Oh, one sec.
ah Panic Station. Yeah, I
Yeah,
definitely liked that one. I thought that was pretty good
it's a good
actually.
one. It's the one that's quite sort of funky, isn't it? It's got like a funk
Yeah.
feel to it. Well, you see the ones I've started. I like obviously track one, Supremacy is really good.
Mm.
Um, Liquid State I really liked. I don't think I would like that as much, but it's a really good one. Got to talk about the last couple of tracks. Second Law, the really sort of hardcore sort of dubsteppy one. What do you think of that?
That was insane.
It's pretty good. I don't normally like dubstep for
Totally
obvious
messed
reason, and there's a good reason why no one likes it. But what they've done with the genre is something very interesting. I mean, thinking about a lot why what makes this a good dubstep song and others rubbish. And I think it's because it's broken up.
Mm.
It's not just noise all the way through.
Mm.
There's kind of the operatic bridges and sections of it, as well as the really sort of crazy sort of electronica stuff. And I think because it has those breaks and it has those breaking up,
Mm.
it's bearable to listen to. You know what I mean? It's not. If it was just that really crazy stuff, crazy electronica stuff, you wouldn't like it. I don't think. I wouldn't have liked it because it would be too much.
Mm.
But because it has those breaks, as the operatic sections, it has the various sort of bridges in it. It feels like a song rather than a noise.
Yeah.
If you get what I mean?
Yeah, I do get what you mean. Um, I mean, I thought it was absolutely, it's completely off the wall,
Hmm.
but in a good way. It's as you say. I think it's a definite, real twist in it in how they. It's not a lot of lyrical,
No, not
sounds to it,
not in
but
some of the songs. They're very instrumental. There's not a lot of lyrics in,
no.
and I think that's a good thing. I think every album should have couple of instrumental tracks,
Hmm.
just so you can let sort of them as musicians sort of shine and show.
Yeah.
Of course, you can have your standard like 3 minute songs
Oh
with
yeah,
verse,
of
chorus,
course.
verse, chorus.
And I do completely understand why they do it
Mm.
because, at the end of the day, you're doing an album. I think that the most important thing is to explore and to
Yeah,
figure out what you can do and what you can't possibly do. Or, in this case, what they really can do.
yeah,
But
yeah. Muse are amazing musicians, really. Sort of at the
that was the one thing I really noticed when
thing
I,
is, I
listened
think
to
with
the
Muse
album.
there are better musicians out there. They're not the better musicians are better at making songs, making very complex, very intricate songs, but they're not very good at making songs that have a mass appeal. Like my brother, who's really into like his sort of like really trippy kind of psychedelic rock and stuff, modern stuff like Mars Volta, and I can't remember the names. That's the one I can't think of, but he's into that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
which is really good, technically brilliant. But it's the kind of music you can't imagine yourself sitting down and listening to and enjoying. Muse, on the other hand, it probably isn't as good as him, but I can enjoy it much more as songs. I think that's also the difference between you and me. I like very clever music, but you like something you can like dance to and enjoy. I think Muse does a bridge between the two very, very well, and I think that's really their strong point. There's a great sort of almost stagecraft about them. They're not just good musicians; they're good entertainers.
Well, you have to be. I mean, especially in today's music industry and entertainers and whatnot. I think you've got to be. You've got to be able to move between the two in order to really, I suppose, try and create something really unique. I mean, actually, to their credit, they have actually created, a lot of uniqueness about it.
Yeah,
There's
and
a lot about it. It's very distinctive.
I think a lot of sort of criticism by some people is that, not just music, but in, like films and literature and everything, people kind of think, oh, what do we do now? Everything's been written, everything's been made. And that's not the case at all. Not everything's been written. And I think while there's a lot of influences, almost every song you pick out a couple of bands that's been influenced by them. It's Muse, and it's all very new, and it's very their own.
It's new for the time, I would say, but I wouldn't say it's necessarily new as in completely new.
No,
Yeah.
nothing is. But I'm saying is that they never felt like it was retreading ground already done by other artists, which you can say by stuff we've reviewed before, even stuff I've liked and you haven't liked. But you can always argue out, like with the Green Day album.
Yeah.
Our main criticism of that was it sounds like every other Green Day album.
Oh yeah, it sounded like every single song was the same, being played over and over again.
And that's what I'm saying about this. This is almost a complete other spectrum. It's something very experimental, very new.
Yeah.
And it's not detached from everything else, but it feels like a progression from everything else. If you get what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I do get it.
I mean, let's talk about the influences for a moment. What bands did you feel that influenced them album, that song?
Well, obviously, I think the most obvious one is Queen.
There is a very
some tracks.
There's a very
real rock sort of track.
Yeah, especially
what's
track 2? Bring it up, wiggle the mouse around. I don't know. Track 2. What's it called?
It's called Madness.
Madness. That you can literally rip that from some Freddie Mercury kind of stuff, and it sounds just that very. I don't know what it is about it. It's a very sort of. You know what I'm talking about? Very Queen feel to it. I mean, a lot of scroll down and see what the previous Muse album was. I can't remember. It's been a while. Little scroll button. Not that corner. Just that. Anyway, the album before this, Uprising, I think it was that again was very Queen influenced. The few of the tracks in there had that very sort of operatic feel. Only a couple of tracks in this had that very sort of operatic feel.
Yeah.
But the one before it, Resurgence, whatever it is, just read it. It's quite far, and my glasses can't reach. Can you see what was it called? Just the title of the album at the very bottom of the screen. The one below it, yeah. It says 2009 next to it. I'm not going to bring it up. Anyway, the previous album, it had a very operatic sort of Queen feel to it. This had much more of the sort of proggy sort of Queen feel with Madness and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And Queen is obviously their main influences, but I think a lot of early sort of prog rock from Pink Floyd's the obvious one. But there's other kind of that kind of era of sort of Genesis, Pink Floyd kind of prog rock, mixed in with that very sort of classic rock Queen feel. Even Queen themselves were kind of had their sort of prog moments, and it really melds together to form what is Muse. And I think that to me is one of the band's strengths. Would you agree?
If I knew more about them, I would probably be able to tell you whether I think that. I don't know enough about them to really, agree or disagree. But all I know is that when I heard it, and I thought it was very, very good. Considering, I mean, I knew Muse were good anyway, but I just, at the time they're just like one of the bands around today trying to do everything else. But I've been very surprised and impressed.
They've really made a name for themselves in the past few years for being one of those sort of iconic British bands in a way. I think they played at sort of the opening ceremony at the Olympics, and that
which I missed.
Which you missed, but really sort of, that kind of proves my point that they are really sort of at the core of sort of the British music scene.
Cutting edge.
Not even the cutting edge, but if you're going to say all great British bands. You've got like Judas Priest, Sex Pistols, Pink Floyd, all the way up, and I think Muse is the new one of those class. If you know that very iconic British bands, very sort of world-known British bands.
Mm,
Would you say? Would you not? Would you
I
agree?
don't think I would agree with that.
Yeah.
'Cause Pink Floyd, I mean Pink Floyd and
You're not a
Sex Pistols.
I know. I'm
They
not
were
saying.
very much.
I'm not saying that.
They were very cutting edge in their time.
I'm not saying necessarily, in your opinion, the best bands. I'm saying the most iconic British bands of all time.
Well, they're certainly iconic. I mean, the name first thing is quite good, but I think as far as having that, they're not rough around the edges like a lot of rock music you hear. Pink Floyd was certainly, and
No, Muse is a
and
very
Sex Pistols. They were very cutting edge and very sort of rough around the edges.
no. Muse is very sleek. That's one thing to say about it. It's very sort of very streamlined, very precise, very accurate. And you can tell
Yeah.
there's been like months and months in recording studios getting everything layered perfectly and
Well, yeah.
perfectly stacked. Because there's like some listeners when they can tell there's about 20 tracks going on over the top of each other, and it's not kind of like throw a group of people into a recording studio and just jam away and get the song out. There's clearly been months and months gone into the development of some of these songs, and you can tell
Yeah.
all the way.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, well, I thought they were very, very good. I thought they were very good.
Very good there from Sam. So yeah, talk about other topics now. We were going to do another one of these podcasts again soon.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how soon. I don't know when you're free or busy or whatever. That don't have to discuss it now. I'm just saying. Also, I'm working on another podcast show thing like this. It's going to be slightly different. It's not going to be just us chatting away. It's going to be more structured, I think. I think is it's going to be the appropriate word. It's going to be more structured than what we normally do. Yeah, branching out through things. You've got anything to say? Anything interesting? No?
No.
No, as always. So yeah, that's our opinion on the new Muse album. Yeah, it's really good. We might do one of your albums next time.
And then one of yours, and then we'll see.
We'll go back and forth and see. I don't want it to be too dominant with just my music. That's the thing. I want your input. I want your thoughts and feelings. When you say you don't like something, I want you to show me. No, what you think's good.
I've got no problems with that.
Okay then. See what I let myself in for. Oh, interesting news. Green Day's got another album out. The Uno album was part of a trilogy. Uno, Dos, Tres.
Yeah.
I know. There's the new one. Dos has come out.
Oh, no.
We could check that out. I think I didn't know that at the time we recorded the podcast. I think the reason it's so rubbish because they spread out all the good songs across 3 albums. That could be possibly why it's a bit shit. Because they could have, if they have 3 albums worth of songs, they can cut it all down, just have 10 or 15 not good songs, but at least sort of distinct, notable songs.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's for another time.
Oh God help us all.
So yeah, that's us. Keep it fairly short today, actually, hasn't it? It's been pretty short.
Yeah, it has, hasn't it?
I wasn't quite surprised. Well, I think
that's probably because we both like
we
something,
both agreed
so
on it for
we don't
once.
have much to criticise about
No,
it.
I don't.
It's not really.
Well, I've tried to be more depth because I'm a big Muse fan and I know quite a lot about them, so I'm trying to use my knowledge. But no, they're an amazing band. There's a few bands that I really like. I've got new albums out at the moment. We're gonna tread over, like Soundgarden.
Soundgarden.
This is a band I showed you a couple of tracks from before we started.
Oh, the first one. We're based on the first one. I would say that's very good.
I love Soundgarden. What are you talking about? Well, they got a new album out. No, the song I made you listen to has been out for about 15 years, really at the height of the grunge era. And obviously, grunge is making a comeback at the moment.
Yeah.
So they've released a new album. So
Like all things make a
Well, I'm
comeback at
definitely
some
going to listen
point.
to it. I might force you to listen to it, and we might do a podcast about it. We don't know. I don't know yet. But
That should be interesting.
it's a noteworthy thing because I'm a huge Soundgarden fan. What other good bands would be from the 90s would really make a comeback? Garbage could come back.
I like them.
Did you?
I like them.
Garbage should come back. I think they're still touring and recording. I think they're still together.
I like them. They,
Could do something
you know,
new.
they were a bit
They might be.
unusual.
They
for
might
their
have something
day.
in their time.
They were a bit unusual, but that's why I liked them. They were just, they weren't sort of.
Now, I wouldn't say they were strict grunge, but there was
they
definitely
weren't
sort of an alternate.
mainstream,
Was very
that's
sort of
for sure.
yeah.
They weren't mainstream.
Other good grunge bands could come back.
And I really liked.
Social
that.
Distortion, Pixies. I know the Pixies have come out. I
Uh,
think Frank Black could have a new solo album out. Have you heard some of Frank Black's solo stuff?
No, I haven't actually. No.
I really like it. I know you will hate it.
I don't hate all rock music.
What the good? Do you think of any good grunge bands that could make a comeback? Obviously not Nirvana, seeing as Kurt Cobain is 6 feet under.
No, I haven't heard of
Enough grunge.
any other groups
Yeah.
or anything. I mean, obviously I know there's some of the 80s bands they've reformed.
Yeah, that's because the whole 80s thing was really popular a couple of years back.
Well, yeah.
It seems to be like
and they still like
whatever
it
was,
even to this day.
It seems like whatever was popular 20 years ago is popular now. So we've just gone out of the early thousands and stuff. So it's gone from the 80s now it's the 90s. And seeing as I was alive then, it's actually it's actually a period in history I can enjoy because I was alive and so.
Well, the 90s music gets trashed a lot, and I'm not happy about that, to be honest.
90s pop does. The 90s alternative rock scene was really, really good. And it's really sort of the stuff I really love.
Europop was a big major thing in the earlys. And I thought some of it was quite good, actually.
Yeah, 90s is sort of a time for the massive explosion, sort of the pop industry, and of course manufactured pop has been around for years and years as well. But there's also sort of, like I said, Europe, a massive explosion in that, which really did, in a way, sort of 97, 98, really did start to kill off the alternative rock scene, which is. I'm not going to blame you personally for it.
You don't blame me personally for it.
But yeah, that's.
Typical. Don't blame me for that.
Alright then. So 90s come back. I'm kind of worried about in 10 years' time when the noughties make a comeback and we're going to have the whole sort of emo thing back again.
Well, 90s music's not that bad, I mean, we did have a lot of one-hit wonders come in and out constantly, and I have to be honest. When I listen sometimes on the Magic Channel and they bring on Gina G, I cringe somewhat. It's a good track, but it's very cheesy, very.
There's a lot of things in 90s you just cringe at.
Just cringe. I just cringe at it.
Like the Spice Girls, I think.
Oh, it's like Ryland Clark and his performance on bloody X Factor doing the Spice Girls. I was cringing all the way through that.
The thing is, even if you listen to the original Spice Girls, like I don't even want to now say the names of the tracks. They're just they were massive at the time. They were huge, and then I listen to them now. I'm like, oh Jesus Christ! Did we really listen to that? It's fucking awful. Oh my.
Wannabe was the most atrocious ever.
I feel dirty just knowing I was alive at the time.
I have to be honest. When I do hear it now, I just absolutely.
I know.
Cringe.
It was so I know I wasn't that old to be fair, but we were so sort of delusional at the time, thinking it was good. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Well, it was basically just a really bad, good pop song.
Very commercial pop song. When we say good, we mean good in that sense,
Yeah, I wouldn't say it was good in that respect at all. But that was the next song was a lot better.
They're all pretty off. They didn't stay together that long, did they, Spice Girls? I remember them coming together, being massive, and breaking up like 2, 3 years. I don't know exactly.
Yeah, it was when Jerry left the band.
Yeah, it wasn't long at all. Looking back on it, I thought it seems like a fucking eternity, but it actually was probably only like 2 or 3 years.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Wow.
Well, if you think that was bad, Westlife was even worse. Ugh. hated them so much.
I still don't like
Hated
West
them
End.
back then. I still do.
The whole boy band thing. Well, the boy band sort of like thing's been going on for years and years and years.
No, the only decent band is Take That. The others.
Of course, Sam.
Yep.
The only decent band is Take That.
Yep.
Shh. We should
Yes.
heed those words.
Heed those words.
um.
But anyway.
So yeah, that's my rant about the 90s and stuff.
Yeah, well, it doesn't deserve to be trashed as much as it does.
No, there is, especially the early 90s, there's some really, really good stuff.
Yeah, there is.
It's almost
I
a
agree
shame.
with that.
It's a shame that REM's broke up. REM broke up.
I like them.
They broke up about, it must be about a year now.
Yeah,
It doesn't seem that long, 6 months to a year. They broke up. I'm like, what are you doing breaking up? They invented alternative rock almost. They break up. I'm like, well then, what have I got now?
No, that's kind of the thing. Decent rock bands were not there at all. Not there.
Not in the late 90s.
No.
Even the early thousands.
I mean, Blur. I'll tell you.
They weren't
I'll tell you
very good.
something, Blur were atrocious. They were absolutely awful. I could not believe that they were so popular as they were.
I thankfully kind of tried to avoid.
Tried to bypass all
Tried
that.
to bypass the whole sort of Britpop thing myself. I'm saying I think there's a couple of Blur songs I like.
No, I hated them all.
There's one or two. I'm not going to say.
I'll tell you what, Oasis weren't any better.
No, I don't like Oasis
They
either.
were so bad.
Like I said, I just tried to avoid the whole Britpop thing when I could.
No, I couldn't though, because especially if you watch the Brit Awards, Oasis and Blur were kind of like they were on there as well. It was where Michael Jackson did his performance, and the guy from Pulp came up and did what he did, and so I couldn't avoid it, unfortunately. You'd listen to the radio. They were either Oasis was either number one or Blur was number one.
This is a completely unrelated note, but a couple of years back when I was at uni, every bar we went into, I remember me and my mates are students, so we went to fucking tons of bars.
Yeah.
Every bar went to, there was Lady Gaga on. And I can't remember which one it was. I'm not that big a fan, to be perfectly honest. I'm like, when I first heard it, I'm like, alright, this song's alright. After about 2 weeks, after I heard about 200 times, I'm like, I'm going to kill that woman. I want to find her and kill her. Ruining my night. So we ended up just going to a bar that had a jukebox.
Yeah.
And we just monopolised the jukebox all night because we can't let that go on again. Even in the bar with the jukebox, people were still putting it on. I'm like, fuck's sake, man, we came here to get away from it. So we just had to make sure we put more money in the jukebox and drinks just to keep Lady Gaga off it.
Lady Gaga off. It was exactly like that with Oasis and Blur.
Yeah.
I mean, all the radio stations would play their songs. That they were rivals at the time. Didn't like each other very much either. So they all got loads of press, and I just thought to myself, who fucking cares?
I think we have talked about Oasis and Blur before on the podcast.
I know, yeah.
It's a recurring theme.
It's come back to the same thing, hasn't it?
Yeah.
But I just couldn't stand it personally.
Nah, me neither.
It's horrible.
Wasn't my thing. Like I said, I was a big fan of the whole grunge scene at the time. And alternative rock, I still love grunge alternative rock. I still love when I was a teenager, I was really, really into heavy metal. Like, not just like heavy metal as in like Motorhead and Iron Maiden. I mean like heavy, like sort of Chimera, sort of. What was the other one I was really listening to? Slipknot to start with, but I went to like crazy like Behemoth and Devil Driver and stuff like that. Just these crazy like death metal bands. Looking back on it, I don't see the appeal. But at the time, I was massive into that kind of stuff.
You can imagine you like with long hair and doing this.
Well, I still do that at times, but just not to that kind of music. So yeah, I think that's about wraps up. We've digressed quite far again.
Well, at least we've made the podcast a bit longer.
We've made good time. All right then, that's us from today.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.